Just out of curiosity, yeah, we see the slides, and obviously these are some of the larger companies that we service. But I guess just by show of hands, how many people have traded crypto, hold crypto? Got it. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I don't know, maybe about 40%. And I guess we'll assume the distribution's the same on online. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, but like there are literally hundreds and hundreds of cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, right? And they are not all created equal, quite frankly. So they operate 24/7. There's no standardization in the ecosystem, right? File formats, tickers, naming conventions, everything pretty much that you've taken for granted, for instance, from like the equity markets, doesn't necessarily exist in crypto, right? So this is one of the reasons why we have a business. So we handle all of the data logistics and basically take what's considered a very complex, dynamic, and unstructured and a little bit messy of an ecosystem. And we normalize that for all the customers so they can actually focus on their businesses rather than doing a bunch of data mapping and data logistics and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much the ecosystem. I'm going to pass it over to Suzanne to talk a little bit about the fair value and what it means in crypto.
So yeah, so you have that backdrop. Now we have to apply fair value principles there and actually come to a fair value on the balance sheet. So what are some of the things that then we have to think about? So this gives us a theory background. I won't go through this entire slide, but it just lets you know that I think about this, Luca thinks about this in a very detailed ASC 820, IFRS 13 sort of master glossary, the codification. We are thinking about this constantly. And so here's some requirements and principles. I'm going to zoom in on principal market because that is the one, finding a principal market in what Dan just laid out for all of us is got unique complexities and challenges for crypto assets. And it is something that is important to walk through. What are those unique challenges? What are the questions that come up? So let's just move through those because I'm, again, watching the clock. Reminding us first, here's some differences between the crypto markets and the equity markets in this. Markets are open 24/7 for crypto. Markets they're not consistently regulated, supervised. They are fragmented compared to the equities markets. So again, the backdrop is how would I find a principal market given some of these complexities? Is the information in most of the markets and exchanges reliable and sufficient? Guess what? In the crypto world, they're not. In equities markets, it's pretty stable, right? Regulated, all of that. The information is really, really solid there across the board in general in the equities markets. And do you need something a little bit more potentially sophisticated, rigorous? Dan, again, just laid out, tickers are different. There's all different kinds of data coming in from all these hundreds of exchanges. In the crypto assets world, we have really some need for expert tools and sort of a rigorous approach. This is from the AICPA Digital Assets Practice Thing. So I won't read this to you, but I'm telling you the punchline is the role of information in the markets, the role of the quality of the information is really, really important. Across those 350 plus exchanges, Dan just showed us, well, what is the quality of information in each of those? It matters very much to coming to a fair value. And it's something that Luca is thinking about constantly. Dan and his team are thinking about constantly. So here's our 5 questions that we get asked a lot. We have to grapple with a lot. So, and we'll talk very, briefly about it because I want to get to the point where Dan can show you some, if you will, graphs and pictures from the data and what we see in the actual information. Remember, information and data is really important in all of this. So is volume and exit price data actually trustworthy across all those exchanges? We have to think about that. For volume is a really important principle in ASC 820 IFRS 13. Finding the principal market, go and look at volume, right? So why not just pick a market at a point in time at the beginning of the fiscal year and say, here's the highest volume is on this exchange, and let's stop thinking about it. So I'm asking rhetorical questions at this point, but we'll answer them sort of in the next few slides. Why not just use the market that the entity normally trades in? What about markets an entity may not be able to access at a given point in time? What time of day should be used? Remember that we're all open 24/7 in the crypto world. So what time of day? What's my cutoff? Does it matter? You'll find out as Dan shows you some pictures that these things, all of these things do matter. So let me